Okay, as you know, I'm on Wegovy, and today is Take a Shot Tuesday. As you know, by my community tab, you know, my wife's actually writing my schedules. This one's going for 2 weeks. So Wegovy is a needle that you take in your stomach, your arms and your legs. So I'll talk about what I was talking about yesterday with the Nordic diet. If you're interested in the Nordic diet, and you're from, you know, England, France and the northern side of Europe, if your DNA comes from that, then this diet would work better for you. What a lot of the commercialisation is talking about these days is Mediterranean diets. Now, during the COVID lockdown back in 2020, the Nordic diet that had been going for 10 years actually became something that the American TV stations started talking about. I will pop up a quick thing from a US TV broadcast, and that might actually jog some of your memories if you were around when that came out.
Trendy regional diet, of course. It's getting a lot of buzz.
Oh, yeah.
Kimberly Gill here with a closer look at the benefits of the Nordic diet. A lot of your folks talking about this.
Yeah, and here we go again with another diet, guys. The Nordic diet is actually the new Nordic diet. The original was revamped in 2004 to improve the culinary appeal, although it may still feel the same. It shares many features of the Mediterranean diet with a few major exceptions. Eat like a Viking? Well,
Alright, so that's in a nutshell the Nordic diet. Now, I'm not going to focus the whole video on that today, but this book, Nordic Way, which may be a little bit hard to see because we got the sun setting over there and it's beautiful and sunny. I can put up some B-roll. I just got back from the shops, which you would have seen that B-roll then. And I won't wear these two on because the sun will actually turn them into sunglasses, and I hate wearing glasses. But the thing with this book is the back half is 1,000,001 recipes that you can try and do. Now this is all about middle-aged men, middle-aged women, even younger people really. If you are overweight, it's because of, okay, let's get down to the nut and gritty before we get to this. You know, take the glasses off, these are fighting words. It's the Americans' fault. No cold hard shoulders here. It is the US that actually started this problem. Well, if you want to get technical with Spain, but we won't get technical. Let's get technical. We all know that the Spaniards, the Portuguese, the Dutch and all that went to South America and brought all these bad carbohydrates back to Europe. That's kind of where it started. But after World War II, America populated the world with Coca-Cola and soft drinks. Now, we did have our own kind of versions of these things before that. Okay, I understand that. But the 1960s with the Vietnam War, Australia got McDonald's and then Pizza Hut. We tried to get Burger King, but there was a lawsuit because we already had an Australian version. So we got what was called Hungry Jack's, but the Americans still call it Burger King. We're now getting Wendy's. You know, we've had, I can list them, they just go on. And I tried to look up a list before, and I had 32 American fast food restaurants that are operating in my area at the moment. That's the problem. We're on, they like to call it a Western diet, I like to call it the American diet, but we're on this diet of highly processed, highly fattening, highly carbohydrate at times too, diets, you know. Wife wanted a takeaway for dinner tonight on the DoorDash listing, and there's a lot on there. There's not a single thing on there I can eat that isn't processed. And there's nothing on there I can really have that isn't actually goes against Wegovy. Now, hopefully this shadow is working well or not, I don't know. That sun will go down in a minute and then we'll get everybody else back out here. Anyway, the issue is, I was born in the 1970s, 1973. I've grown up with fast food as a treat. We tended to have it, you know, we'd have Chinese on our birthdays. We didn't have Chinese every week. We would have McDonald's very rarely. I think I was, when was it? About 1986, they opened up the first McDonald's in the place I was living at the time, Armidale. Around 1985, 86. We knew it because it was really cool. They put up a Batman signal in the sky so everybody could actually follow the Batman signal back to McDonald's to talk about Americanism on its finest. So And I'm using a different camera here at the moment. This is the Nikon ZFC. It's my wife's one. So Macca's was, as we call Macca's in Australia, you call it McDonald's in America. Macca's came to my wife when I was around about 13. Now, I lost my parents when I was 15, and I started living on basically what we call chicken treat here. In West Australia, it's called chicken treat. In the eastern states, it's called red rooster. It's basically the same thing. It's fast chicken, fried chicken. That became my staple diet from when I was about 16 to 52. You know, I love fried chicken. As I got older, I discovered American Southern style fried chicken, and that was even more yummy. So America makes great fast food. They make great processed food. They work on a capitalist economy where they've got to give you carbohydrates because that gets you hungry quicker and you go back and eat more. We all understand the science of it. Once again, it's not picking on America. We all have the same system running in our countries now. So trying to break that cycle is really hard. And you've got to take a shot at it. So we'll keep on this Take a Shot Tuesday. You've got to take a shot at taking control of your life. If you don't, this big up here is going to start to suffer too. Your cognitive thinking is going to bugger up. You know, too much fat down here, this starts to slow down, and then depression starts to kick in, and then your legs go. Ask Chad what it's like to have a leg injury. You know, your legs go. And the key is finding what you can take yourself. You know, I can tell you 100 foods that I like, but you're a human, you're different, we're all different, we all have different DNA. So this book, The Nordic Diet, works for my DNA. Okay, I would like the other parts of the Nordic food in there, you know, like the Danish patisseries and the really nice sweets and cakes they make up there, but that's not part of that diet, unfortunately. So, let's get this book going. Now, it's got you can do a menu plan on this, and I don't know how many weeks this menu plan goes. So I think it's 3 or 4, 2 or 3, 4. Yeah, it's got a 4-week menu plan in here, which I don't actually follow because it's a suggestion, but it's not too bad. What is helpful, and you can get this anyway, you don't have to get this book to get this, is the glycemic index. Now, the Nordic diet is still very high in carbohydrates. It's actually more carbs in this. This is the ratio for the Nordic diet. 10 carbohydrates to 5 grams, so 10g to 5g of protein. So carbs are actually double your protein intake. Now let's swing over to Wegovy. Once again, this is American Wegovy. Wegovy is what I've been told by my dietitian. For every 10 you've got of protein, you want to have 5 or 10 of glycemic stuff, that basically high fiber food. You know, you're trying to get your glycemic index working here. So she's given me a list of what I should do, the high and the low, the glycemic foods, but that list for me is in this book as well. So the Wegovy YouTubers, 90% of them say protein, protein, protein. And that same 90% then make another video saying how to deal with the side effects. You're getting too much protein and it's giving you constipation. And that's what too much protein does. Once again, not a dietitian. This is just what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to put more of this up on Monday. But I'm looking for the glycemic index. So the ideal, and this is if I'm the right height for weight too. Bear in mind the Nordic diet is designed for your everyday eating. It's not a diet designed to make you lose weight. It's a diet for you to live on for the rest of your life. An average male should eat 200 grams of carbohydrates, 100 grams of protein per day. Low carb diets can help you lose weight faster and will help you prevent type 2 diabetes. But they cause rapid weight loss and then rapid weight back on. And that's been the problem. I've had some really good, 40-pound weight losses over the last few years, and then straight back on. As soon as I stop whatever, if I do the keto diet, I lose a lot of weight. But it's not a sustainable diet, because as my weight's going down on the keto diet, my cholesterol is going like this. And my doctor's giving me more pills, which in turn is now changing my weight to go. But you get the point. I'm trying to find this glycemic index in here. Scientific studies, this is about red meat. You cannot eat too much, but you can eat too... Start this again, eh? Scientific studies suggest that eating large amounts of processed red meat increase the risk of cancer, heart disease. Okay, I don't have cancer. I've just had my cancer check last week, so I'm cancer free at the moment. That's good. It's been a bit off and on with that for a while. The cholesterol in my heart is suffering because every day I tend to eat red meat. And even on Wegovy for the last week, I've tried to get off the red meat. But last night I had a stroganoff. I had beef and mushrooms for my dinner. Didn't have any rice or any pasta or anything with it. But I had beef, mushrooms and a whole heap of veggies. And it's, once again, red meat. I think tonight, because this is a problem we all get, right? It's not just me eating this dinner, there's three of us here. And the cost of food, the cost of living, we can't actually afford to have two separate menu plans. It's that simple. So either I don't eat, or they don't eat, you know what I mean? So tonight there's meatloaf and mashed potato, two things that are pretty much no-nos on the Wegovy diet. So I'll balance that with walnuts and Greek yogurt to go with it to try and balance it. But that's what's letting me down still, is this red meat that's coming each day. It's not part of the Nordic diet, it's not part of the Wegovy diet either. You know, Wegovy is telling you to stay off red meat, get onto the fish and the chicken. Now, we're getting there. I should have put bookmarks in this. Now they talk, there's pages on here on fibre, but the simplest thing they have for fibre is when you serve up your dinner. So I can do this with my Greek yogurt. I usually put 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt now instead of sauce aside. Sugar, Greek yogurt is better for your gut. You can sprinkle chia seeds over your food instead of salt, and that increases your fibre and increases the microbes in your gut. And if you're still watching, great, you know, and it's going to be a heavily diet video, I know. They do have a rye bread that they eat a lot too. Now, this might be what I'm looking for. Okay, so high glycemic foods that I've got to stay away with. Pretty much everything in this is what my doctor tells me to stay away from. Yogurt is getting 20, the Greek yogurt. And where's my walnuts? I don't know if I got the walnuts on this thing. What I'm having for my lunch today is apple and strawberries. But they don't actually put the strawberries in here properly. The apple has got a glycemic index of 36, but strawberries they make into a jam, and that gives you too high. As I said, get these off, they give me a headache. Right. Try and look after your body any way you can. I'm not telling you got to go jump on the Nordic diet. I'm not telling you to go and get Wegovy, but if you're one of these guys like myself who is getting to middle age, you're struggling with that tire around your stomach, you want to get yourself fit, because it's a lot easier, I've been told, to do it now when I'm 50 than to try and do it when I'm 70 or even when I'm 60. You know, I'm 7 years off 60 almost, so I'm running out of that last window of life where I can actually try and get on top of this before it becomes really hard. Now, if I was, you know, in my mid-30s and I started this, life would be so much better. I wouldn't be stressing about it right now. I wouldn't be struggling with medicals at work right now, you know. I would be in a better state. So that I will call quits for this video today. I know it's not the longest and not the shortest, but actually one thing before I go. Chad's got another video. I put Chad's garage on last night. It's good to see that he's actually in a much better mood than last night. I was quite worried about him yesterday, so it's nice to see you're actually on top of things at the moment, Chad. And yeah, he's got a video about growing on YouTube, not growing on YouTube, and I don't want this to be too how-to. I can make a whole 5-hour video on growing on YouTube, not growing on YouTube, but really talk to strangers, talk to people. Whenever you're having a coffee at a barista shop, mention to them your YouTube channel. If you're talking to someone in the coffee shop, tell everybody that you've got a YouTube channel and that you're a vlogger. And you'd be surprised how many people that you meet in public that don't actually realise, that haven't actually, how do you put this? They haven't actually seen or sat down and talked with a vlogger before. They've seen him on TV, they've seen him on YouTube, but it can be like an alien walking into a coffee shop for them, so they get a little bit curious, and that can spark up a conversation. Anyway, stay safe, people. Have fun. This is my first go at filming on a Nikon camera, maybe my last because I don't own this camera. I will talk to you tomorrow.